Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Australian Pollinator Week Pollinator Photographic Competition webinar. We've just been having such a ball this week. I'm Fiona Chambers. I'm the CEO of the Ween Bee Foundation, and we've been delighted to host not only Australian Pollinator Week, but also the Pollinator Week, the Pollinator Photographic Competition. This is our third year in hosting the photographic competition, and I can't tell you how successful it's been. We've had, over the course of the 3 years we've been running this, we've had nearly 1,600 entries to the photographic competition. And so it's been really great to see such incredible interest in the photos, and also such an amazing quality of photos that are coming through. So to start with, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land where I'm coming to you from today. I'm coming from Goolagin country in southwest Victoria. So I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and particularly any Indigenous Australians that are joining us today. So welcome. Welcome also to our three judges. Doing a pollinator photographic competition, of course, can't be done without the great support of judges and all the people behind the scenes. So thank you. So the judges that we've got joining today are Sophie McDonald from Flow and James Dorey. So James and Sophie are online today, and we've also, you can give a little wave, hello wave from James, and Sophie's there somewhere. You might want to wave and say hello, Sophie, as well. So James and Sophie are going to have an opportunity to share some of their favorite photos with you. So you get a bit of information from them about what they were looking for, what they like about photos, some of their favorite photos, and we'll talk a little bit about what they saw as they were judging. We've also got a little bit of a presentation from our other judge, Bridgette Gower, who is unable to join us tonight. She's got another activity to be at, somewhere else to be. So she's shared with us a little video so that she can share some of her thoughts as well. So thank you for the moment. I also want to just acknowledge the sponsors. So I've acknowledged our judges. I've acknowledged, I also want to acknowledge the sponsors, because we couldn't do something like this without the very generous support of our sponsors. And so throughout the session, I will, in a while, I will share the logos of all of our many sponsors, which include Flow, include iWoo, who is our major sponsors, and then there are many others as well that I'll talk to you about through the night. So to kick off and to start, I might introduce James. Now, James and I have worked very closely, and I ask Sophie to just turn your camera off just for a moment until you come in a moment. James Dorey is an amazing photographer. He's written books about bees and photographic photography. He's also a lecturer. And James, I'm going to leave it there because I think people have read about who you are, but I don't want to steal your thunder I'll let you introduce yourself as you then tell us a little bit about some of your favorite photos and why they're so good, why you like them so much. What is it you like? So you'll have
Thanks,
about 10
Fiona.
minutes.
Yeah, I don't necessarily like introducing myself, so I was very happy for you to keep going. But yes, I'm a photographer and a researcher, so I'm a lecturer at the University of Wollongong at the moment. And I'm mostly actually teaching evolution and ecology, but of course I'm sliding bees and bee photos in everywhere that I possibly can. Now I'll share my screen and hopefully people can see. I can't see anyone else. Fiona, does that look good?
Yeah, that looks great. We can see
Great.
that.
Excellent. So yes, Fiona asked us to share a few of our favorite photos and why they're our favorites. And I don't necessarily, I definitely don't have a favorite photo of my own. And whenever people ask me, it really varies, depending on the day. But a lot of the time, actually, the photos that I like the best aren't necessarily the ones that other people like the most. And normally, what I like about them is actually a connection to taking the photo And sometimes that's a fond memory with friends or whatever. And this particular example is actually a tawny frogmouth that's coming into land. And there are a few things that I find really special about this, and they're probably all things that you wouldn't find special about this particular photo. So this is actually on the plot of land where I grew up. It's actually near Byron Bay, and basically every night that I'm back home and visiting, I'm walking around this little bit of rainforest that my dad revegetated. And I got to be quite familiar with this little family of tawny frogmouths and where they were coming into land to hunt. And so I decided eventually to try and take a photo of them. And this is just a broken branch, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 meters up, probably 5 meters up, a eucalypt tree where they always like to land. So I decided to set up a camera trap there. Um, and this is actually a composite photo. I think it would be impossible to take this in a single photo, actually. So I've taken the photo of the tawny frogmouth itself coming into land. I have quite a few photos of that and some other things coming by that set off the camera, including bats, kookaburras, even a really big beetle set off the camera trap. And then what I've done is I've come back and the exact same spot, I've taken a photo of the stars. And for those of you who are familiar with taking photos at night or astrophotography, you'll know that it's really challenging to get nice photos of the stars without basically a whole bunch of noise. So that's why I've kind of taken both of these photos, but it's really special to me because, you know, I was quite familiar with these birds. And this is a skyline, I guess, that I'm very familiar with. That's Lennox Head that you can see glowing on the right-hand side. Yeah, I won't say too much more about that one. Funnily enough, this one is also taken in the exact, well, almost the exact same place. So on the plot of land that I grew up on. And this is a really cool bee. And again, people actually ask me if I have a favorite bee quite often. Most of the time, I don't have a favorite bee, but at certain points, this has been mine. It's called the neon cookie bee. And I'm sure many of you know, like cookie bees, like cuckoo birds, will lay their eggs in the nests of other bees and let them do the work for them. So I guess that means that they don't necessarily have their own home, and a lot of the time they'll actually spend the night roosting by holding on to little tiny sticks with their mandibles, as this one is doing. So one of the many nights that I was walking around with my head torch, I saw this little bee, and it really stands out, of course, because it's so metallic. And it's just such an awesome opportunity to get up close to, I don't know, a living animal and take an amazing photo of it. Because I mean, if you've ever seen these guys fly, they are insanely fast. So yeah, I mean, I really, it's one of my favorite species from one of my favorite places, and it was just such a good opportunity to find and take photos of it. Now, this one, a lot of the photos that I take are actually focus stacked images, which is basically the way I describe it is if you took a photo of the horizon, normally everything from the horizon to 100 or 200 meters in front of you would probably be in focus. But if you imagine, you know, someone taking a photo of a model, often the eye itself will be in focus and then the eyelashes might be out of focus. So basically, that's the depth of field gets smaller and smaller as you move closer and closer to the subject. And when you're talking about things like this bee is probably about 5 millimeters long. The depth of field is absolutely tiny, like a fraction of a millimeter. So this is actually, this one is special to me because it's such a cool bee. It's one of the masked bees, one of the Hylaeus. Although it's a little bit hard to see the mask. There is actually a bit of pale yellow there, but normally these are black with a little bit of yellow highlighting on them. But this particular male, I caught somewhere in the outback, and I remember very distinctly catching it on a mistletoe and very excitedly running back to the car to try and get a closer look at it because it's just so gorgeous and so out of the ordinary from what you normally see from the Hylaeus. And I was, you know, I was on a trip with a few other entomology friends. So there's a lot of things that are really special about this bee for me, and the photo. There are quite a few bees that I know I take a photo of, and I don't know what gets your heart racing, but for me, it's finding really cool bees. And this definitely got my heart racing. So those are my top three for the moment from when I was looking through just now, trying to find a bit of variety, but I have a few minutes left. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper, and talk about this one. So again, this is another roosting bee. Um, and again, I very distinctly remember taking this photo again. It was somewhere in the outback, with a whole bunch of my good friends from Adelaide, a whole bunch of entomologists and melitologists who study bees, and walking around at night and just finding this. It's really hard to get an idea of scale, but that bee is probably, I don't know, 6 millimeters long, something like half a centimeter, just latched onto this tiny little leaf. And for me, what I really like about this photo is the depth that you get out of it. So, I've got my whole leaf and bee in focus, but then behind it, you start to get a little bit of depth as the leaves from the tree go further and further away, and you get a bit more blur. And the other thing that I quite like is it's almost like a starburst coming out of the corner of the screen. So it leads your eye either from the bee to the rest of the photo, or from the rest of the leaves back up to the bee. So having a bit of that, I guess, bit of a dynamic photo to create a little bit of interest. And again, for me, this is really special because I remember the moment very well and spending time with my friends. So it's not necessarily one that others would pick. And especially if you're entering photos into a photo competition, you kind of need to get past this idea of like, this is the one that I like, because often the ones that you like them because you associate it with something else. So for example, in one of the photo comps that I've won, I got one of my friends to help me go through my photos. And I was just scrolling past and he said, "Wait, what's that?" And I'm like, this is just like one of the photos that I was going to put into another photo, another thing with composite with the stars. And he was like, "No, you need to submit that one." And so I did, and that's the one that won. So it's really hard, I think, for us to separate the photo from the moment. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's part of the reason that I got into photography in the first place, is because I really wanted to be able to share and remember moments. So that's my 10 minutes, and I'll be
Yeah,
quiet.
no, that was absolutely fantastic. And look, I think this is such a great way, James, for people to get to know you as one of the judges, but it's also a way of building the excitement, because we are going to announce who the winners are, but people have to wait till the end to find out who the actual winners are. So it's a kind of nice way of getting to that. We will, by the way, if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask in the audience, I would encourage you to put them into the Q&A, because we will be having James and Sophie answering any of your questions. So if you've got anything in particular you want to ask about photography, or how they went about judging, pop it into the Q&A. If you've got any particular comments that you want to make to share with everyone where you're from, pop it into the chat. So thanks, James, for that. That was terrific. And we'll now ask Sophie actually, I think we're going to get the video. So Candice is there somewhere. Candice, are you able to share the presentation that we've got from Bridgette? So Candice is helping online at the moment. So Bridgette Gower is a well-known macro photographer from Cairns and owner of Aussie Macro Photos. So Bridgette was one of our judges. And over the past 2 years, Bridgette has dedicated every spare moment to finding, photographing and identifying some of the world's smallest animals. She runs tours and guided nature photography through Cairns Botanical Gardens, and international photography expeditions to Sumatra and India. So her photographs have been featured in many publications, including Photo Review magazine and Sydney Morning Herald, and she's an OM system ambassador. So thanks, Candice. So is this something that just pushes start? What do we do? I've just got a still screen at the moment. Candice, can you just let me know what's supposed to happen?
Hello everyone, my name's Bridgette and I was one of the judges of this amazing competition about highlighting our pollinators here in Australia. It was really fun to see all of the interesting photos that came in, and it was really great to see some more unusual pollinators like the flower beetles and the hoverflies and things like that, to highlight some of the other creatures that are also pollinators here in Australia. So it was really lovely to see all of those images, and thank you so much for the organisers to create this photo competition, and congratulations to the winners. So just to give you a bit of background about who I am and what I do. So I'm based in Cairns and I run 3 individual Cairns Botanic Gardens photography tours. The first one is a morning walk to see all the little critters that people probably don't even notice. And this is a photography and nature-based tour. I also run night walks, and again, these are some of the critters that most people would never see, partly because they're nocturnal, but also because they're small and a lot of people just don't notice them. This is my most popular walk by far, and it's a great opportunity to see all sorts of amazing creatures. And during the wet season, I also run Let's Go Shrimming, which is a mushroom-based photography and nature walk. I also have an artistic series called Disco Bugs, which is a style that I created using some backgrounds and just basically in my backyard with little critters that I find in the backyard. And so some of you might be familiar with this. I was a featured artist as part of the Head On Photo Festival down at Bondi Beach in 2020. So they had some beautiful prints all along the esplanade there. I'm an OM ambassador, so all of my photos are taken with the OM system cameras and a variety of lenses, mostly macro. I use mostly the 60mm macro lens. It's such a great lens to use. It's very light and compact, very small, and it's just such a great lens to get in there and photograph all the pollinators. So I just wanted to show you a couple of photos that I've taken this year. So this is a featherhorn beetle. I love these little beetles. They're only about 2 centimeters long, and their antenna stretches about 1.5 centimeters across there, so they are quite small. So I've been photographing them for 4 or 5 years now, since I first learned where they appear. I've got a couple of spots where I can visit them every year. So I've gotten pretty good at photographing them now. A lot of macro photographers will use settings to create a black background, and I love that look as well. But for this particular species, I like to, because they've got the black antenna, I really like to bring in some natural lights. So for this settings, I used a fairly high ISO, probably about 640 or 800. And then the shutter speed I slowed down a little bit, probably to maybe 160 over 1, and then the f-stop was probably about 5.6 or 6 to just create some more natural light. For this next shot, I used the in-camera focus stacking feature of OM system, which is absolutely brilliant. With macro photography, you probably know that there's hardly any depth of field, you know, 1 millimeter or 2 at the most. So this is a feature that allows the camera to stitch several different photos together, and it actually does it in camera for you, which is absolutely brilliant. I spend enough time on the computer as it is. I don't want to spend any more time using the focus stacking software that is available, and that is great, but this is a really quick way of doing it actually in camera. This is a lichen huntsman. It's probably only around about 3 centimeters across, and they're a brilliant subject to use the in-camera focus stacking feature because they stay still and you can lean the camera up against the tree trunk to give you a steady hand. So yeah, this is a really fun feature. This particular spider is Australia's first spider. collected by Banks and Solander with Captain Cook, and very first spider to be formally classified in Australia. And again, I really like to introduce the natural light and bring in some of that beautiful bokeh, which I love so much, and some of the natural sunlight coming through, showing the features of the legs here. So hopefully that's given you a bit of inspiration to pursue your photography journey, especially with our pollinators. And again, thank you so much for the organisers of this amazing competition, and congratulations to the winners. Thank you. Bye.
Fantastic. So we only just received that just shortly before the we went live, so I hadn't actually seen it. So that was fantastic that Bridgette was able to share that with us, so we could get some of her insights as well. So Sophie, it'd be really nice if you just come forward now, and I'll introduce. There you are. There you are. So Sophie is one of our dear friends from Flow. Wimby Foundation really appreciates all the support that we get from Flow, and apparently, I'm not sure whether you got nominated or you put up your hand, but we were really delighted with Flow as sponsors but to also nominate you as someone to share with the judging. So I'm really keen to hear from you, Sophie. You know, where are you from, and how long you've been with Flow, and share some of your favorite photos or videos, whatever you're going to share with us today.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so honoured to be here. I will just start with a preface too. I'm in northern New South Wales, and there is a big storm about to come over us. So if my internet does drop out or the lag is there, please forgive me. But yeah, all good so far. So yeah, I work on the creative team here at Flow on Bundjalung country in the Northern Rivers of New South Wales. I've been with Flow for about a year now, so I am still quite new in my beekeeping journey. But I'm really grateful every day to work closely with Cedar and Stu Anderson, who invented the Flow Hive over 10 years ago. When people ask me what I do for work, I usually just say that I traipse around in gardens filming bees all day, and I truly love what I do. It's incredible work. We also run a Facebook Live beginner beekeeping session with Cedar every week on Wednesday mornings. So if any of you are interested, I'd love to invite you all to join. You can learn a bit more about Flow beekeeping firsthand from Cedar himself. But yeah, it truly means a lot to me that I can help to spread awareness for pollinators. My examples are a little bit different today, as they are all actually videos. So I'm sorry if that's cheating. I know it's much harder to capture a static image because they're so quick and they move so fast. So I was really in awe of all the entries and how you were all able to capture such incredible static images. But for me, yeah, I work more in the video realm as I do manage all of Flow's social media channels as well. So we're kind of finding with that climate at the moment, to really help spread awareness for pollinators, we do find videos got a bit more of a reach for us at the moment, just for our channels in particular. So I've kind of been moving across to that more form of medium. I usually shoot all of my content with a macro lens, either on a Blackmagic camera or sometimes even just on my iPhone if I'm on the go. So I loved seeing all the iPhone entries too. It's incredible what you've been able to create. So I'll start to share my first examples. Can you see that one all good?
No, I'm not seeing anything yet.
Okay, let me just see. Oh, it's actually just saying, oh, here we go. Sorry, 2 seconds. It should come up now. Let me know if you can see that one.
Yes, it's coming now.
Awesome. So this first example, I was sitting by the hives at Flow HQ the other morning, and I spotted a native teddy bear bee and a blue banded bee right beside me. So I quickly whipped out my iPhone. I was on the go, had my macro lens on, thank goodness, and was really grateful to capture this moment because they were both pollinating the same flower. These are two of my favorite native bees. So it was really incredible. It's quite quick, but I'm really grateful I was able to capture it. So I'll just play it now for you all. So very quick little moment, but it was just awesome to capture them working so harmoniously together.
That's a great little video.
Awesome. Now my second video, just move across.
So nice to see them coexisting. You know, there's often this talk about competition and how bees work together, and it really is about them all working together.
Exactly. And it was incredible as well because it was right next to honeybee hives as well. So it was really cool to see that the native bees were able to still, you know, coexist in that kind of environment too. They were really close to each other. So that was really cool to see. And then my second example, this one's a bit of a mashup of different clips that I've caught over a number of years. This one's kind of a mixture of macro lens, slow motion, and different varieties of bees. I created this video for Pollinator Week for our social channels one year. So I popped some captions over it with facts about pollinators as well, just to help spread education across our flow channels. So I'll just play that one for you now. I think this one does have audio too, if you're able to hear it. You might not. As you can see, the blue bandeds are quite my favorite. Awesome. And then for my final example, this one was a pretty incredible moment, a macro moment of honeybees outside of their hive. Let me just get that one up for you now. Can you see this one all good?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Sorry. This one's seeming to have a little trouble. I don't know if you had it on your end there, Candace. Sorry.
I can hear something. Can't see it.
Yeah, it's just through QuickTime Player. So I feel like the audio is coming through, but the visual isn't. I'm so sorry, guys. We might have to leave it at that one, I'm afraid.
That's all right. That's okay. That was terrific to see what you shared with us. So thank you very much. Now, you did mention the blue banded bee, and I couldn't, I must sort of mention, I don't know if you can see there, I'm wearing my blue banded bee badge today because, of course, the blue banded bee was the winner of the ABC inaugural Insect of the Year award this week.
Incredible.
So we've been delighted about that, of course. It was across a number of different pollinators, pollinating insects. They weren't all bees. There was only one bee, the blue banded bee, but it was the clear winner. So we're very, we all love blue banded bees.
That's amazing. Awesome.
Yeah, it was terrific. So we might now then move, I think, to, actually, I'll get, Sophie, if you stay on there, and James, you come forward. And before we go to me sharing the actual winners, I'd kind of like to just hear from you both in general terms about the applications without giving anything away. But just give a sense of, so we had about, I think it was about 430 applications this year. And there were over 100, I believe, in the school category. So, you know, that gives some sense of the number, which is pretty fantastic. So can you perhaps both give some sense of what were the commonalities of what did people do really well? What were you impressed with? You know, what were maybe some of the areas where you would have liked to see some improvement?
Do you want to go first, Sophie?
You take it away, James. You're the professional.
Yeah, it's always really nice to be able to go through other people's photos, and especially their best when they're submitting it. It's really interesting. And especially with macro, I find it's really interesting to compare the creative side with the technical side, because macro is a super technical discipline, I suppose, of photography. You really need to nail quite a lot to get a really nice photo. And so I think a lot of people, including myself, focus on the technical side too much compared to the creative side. But then without the creative aspect as well, it can become quite dry. But it was nice to see a combination of those across the competition. And we didn't just focus on one or the other. We were kind of just looking at how those things work together to create an image that made you, I guess, I don't know, look a bit deeper or something like that. So it was really nice to look across. There's a lot of really good photos, and especially in the open competition, but the others as well. It was really hard to choose.
That was going to be one of my questions. How easy or difficult was it?
It's never easy. And it's fun, chatting with Sophie and Bridgette about which one should win, because we tend to all have different ideas. And
so can you tell us a little bit about the process that happened? So how were you given some photo, like what happened with the process? Just talk us through the process to getting to where you got to.
Do you want to do this one, Soph?
Yeah, so we were sent all files. I made a real night of it. I sat down with them a cup of tea and went through all of them. It was incredible. Like, I can't believe how many entries there were. And then we all kind of went away individually and broke down our shortlist per category. Just kind of, focusing on, as James mentioned, the composition and, any little quirks that we really stood out to us. Went away with our shortlist and we all came together as a group and went through everyone's selections and kind of discussed them amongst us all. And it was great, actually, having, insights from the other judges as well, things that I wouldn't have looked at myself. But it was really cool. I learned a lot in that process too.
So how many were you given in your shortlist?
Oh, we probably ran 5 or 6, I think, per category.
So there were 3 of you. So did the 5 or 6 each, were there any in common, or did you end up with 15 or so in total to look at? Were they all different, or were there some in common?
James and I actually are pretty on par. We had quite a few in common. So that was pretty interesting. But yeah, there was quite a variety too that we really had to kind of sift through and look at all together.
Yeah, fantastic. And look, I wasn't involved this year, but I was involved in the last couple of years, and it is really interesting to see, because even when you bring it down to your shortlist and other people bring theirs, you go, yeah, actually they are really good. Why didn't I see that one? It is really hard when there's so many really good photos, really, really good quality.
Exactly.
So any other areas where you thought you would have liked to have seen improvement?
It's really
hard to say.
It depends on the particular photographer, right? And
yeah,
and where their strengths are and where they need to improve themselves. I mean, some people really, really nail the lighting, for example, which is something that I really like, but then fall short in other places. And some people will get, the really nice, the cool interaction and maybe miss the lighting or doesn't quite get the focus or whatever. It's macro is hard. You really need to work across quite a few things: lighting, depth of field, focus, and then the whatever else it is that makes it interesting. And it can be hard to put a bit of personality sometimes into photos of insects.
Yeah. Okay, well, look, let's maybe move to the reason why we're all here, and actually I'll bring up the presentation which has got the let me make sure I get so I don't jump ahead of myself. While I'm getting this presentation, James, there was a question there for you. Just jump back a bit to the question, and that was what was your setup? Amazing photos. What was the setup? So while I'm getting my presentation, you might just talk to that question.
Yeah, sure. So it depends on which photos you're talking about. And maybe you can clarify and I can answer again. But in terms of like just macro photos, I'm shooting, well, no matter what, I'm shooting Canon. And there's no particular reason beyond the fact that I've always shot Canon. My first cameras were Canons. But then again, they do have the MPE 65mm lens, which is basically a specialist extreme macro lens. So it goes from 1 times to 5 times. So really, really good at anything really small, but anything bigger than normal macro size, you literally can't take a photo of it, unless it's a macro photo of it. And a lot of the time I'm shooting with one of the little flashes that sit on top with the 2 little bits attached to it. And then the important part is normally figuring out how to make the light less terrible. And I think that's a struggle for all macro photographers. And a lot of the time you'll just see we kind of jerry rig whatever we can to diffuse our light.
All right, well, I think we've answered that question for whoever asked it. So if there's any others, add them and we'll see what we can do. But I think now we want to move to the exciting bit of the evening. I'm about to share my screen. Thank you, James, for that. And we'll hopefully not give away anything that I shouldn't. So can you see the all the logos at the moment?
Sure can.
Terrific. So I said that I was going to share and acknowledge all our sponsors. So I really do need to do that. We couldn't offer, I think it's over $4,500 worth of prizes, nearly $5,000 worth of prizes in this competition, which we're pretty excited to be able to offer. And so that's come through our major sponsors, Flow and iWoohoo. iWoohoo is a beekeeping supply service provider in New South Wales, and they do a whole lot of online. They've got an online store, and they ship beekeeping supplies all around Australia. They've been great supporters of this pollinator photographic competition for the last 3 years. So thank you to our major sponsors. We've also had support for the last 3 years from Rotarians for Bees. It's a Rotary group that's been very involved with really trying to raise awareness of bees and pollinators through the Rotary clubs, not only across Australia, but globally. So we're really, really pleased to have a partnership and sponsorship from Rotarians for Bees. Nissi Filters also came on board and have offered some support again this year. And we've also had support, particularly for our school entries from Bee School by Beechworth Honey. And the Centre for Bee Education is a partnership between Bee School by Beechworth Honey and Ween Bee Foundation. So we've been collectively together very happy to sponsor these school entries, and we're really pleased to see that segment growing this year considerably from previous years. And finally, Bee Friendly Farming, which is a program that Ween Bee Foundation runs, and we've now certified over 50,000 hectares across Australia. So we're really doing a whole lot of work with landholders to make a difference, to have more pollinator-friendly environments. So they're all our sponsors. Please, where you have the opportunity to support all of those sponsors, please do. So drum roll, now we're going to move forward, and we're going to start by announcing our primary school winner. Now, for the primary school winner, there's a $500, it's actually a $600 prize pool. So $500 will go to the class, will go to the school of whoever the winner is from. And then the individual, so the person, the school student who actually put the application in, will receive a $100 hamper from Bee School by Beechworth Honey and a certificate for the student as well. So that's a pretty cool little prize, both for the student and also the student's school. So I'm going to go to the winner, and James and Sophie, if you'd like to both speak to the next slide. So if you'd like to announce our primary school winner.
Okay, Soph's muted. I'll start. Yes. So yes, this photo was by Sophie A from Helena Valley Primary School. And this was a really nice photo, we thought, because it had that depth kind of that I mentioned before. It's nice to have a bit of foreground, some stuff out of focus in front and some stuff out of focus behind. And it kind of frames and highlights the bee in flight hovering over the flower, which just adds a bit of motion and interest. And I'll let Sophie talk as well.
Yeah, I loved the motion of this. It was kind of like, where's that little bee off to? It's finished pollinating that flower, now she's off. Yeah, I think the color, the depth was incredible too. So incredible work, Sophie. Very well deserved.
Well done. So we'll be in touch with Sophie and the school to make sure we connect them with their with their prize. So the next prize is for the secondary school winner. So it's actually a $500 will go to the school or the class of the student who put in the submission, and a $100 hamper from B School by Beach with Honey will go to the student who submitted the photograph, together with a certificate for the student, so they can share that around and show everyone they're winning. So again, I'll go to the next slide, and if you two would like to speak to the announcing the winner.
I'll let you start.
So our winner for the secondary school comp was Billy P from Apollo Bay, P12 College in Victoria. This one was such an incredible moment that you've captured here. It's so intriguing. I love the composition of it and how you've really focused in on that one bee, but you can see that it's obviously, you know, with its colony there. It was a really cool moment. I think we all agreed on that. It was super intriguing. So great work, Billy.
Apollo Bay is in my neck of the woods. I might have to go down and present the prize in person and talk to the school. Fantastic. Well done, Billy. All right. The next one we're going to go to is the open third place. So the person who wins this prize will have $500 in cash. They'll also receive an exclusive discount code for some Nissi products. So Nissi's provided a range of products, and they'll also receive a certificate. So over to you two to announce our winner.
I guess I'll do this one. So this is from Jay Hughes from New South Wales. And obviously this is a honeybee coming in to pollinate an almond. And this is one of those times where people are like, oh, you know, I don't want to take photos unless I have a really fancy camera. But this is actually taken on an iPhone, at least according to the EXIF data. And so it's clear that you can actually get some really interesting and cool photos from, you know, not the most expensive or the best bit of kit. I mean, I guess iPhones are pretty expensive bits of kit nowadays. But what we really liked about this was the colors and the compositions. Of course, your eye is immediately drawn into the honeybee in the middle, and it's kind of sent outwards then by those two branches and the petals to start, I guess, exploring the photo as a whole. So it was a really good job for it, especially for taking a photo on your phone. I don't know if you're going to add anything, Soph.
Yeah, you've nailed it there, James. I think we were all really drawn to the color and the beautiful composition with the flowers and just drawing your attention. Yeah, incredible work, Jay.
I was lucky enough to be at Almond Pollination this year. I went up for the Almond Blossom Festival, and you know, it is a sight to behold, to just see the blue sky and that white of the flowers, the white and pink, and then the smell of the flowers and all the buzzing going on. It's an experience for all the senses. It's sensory overload in such a positive way. It's incredible.
You should try being a bee and being there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, so we'll go to the next one now. So our People's Choice Award. So the People's Choice Award had, I did have the number. It was quite some hundreds of people that actually, over 200 votes for the People's Choice Award this year. So the People's Choice Award winner will receive $750 together with an exclusive discount code for Nissi products and a certificate. So over to you two to announce its winner.
Oh, incredible. I actually hadn't seen this one. So this is from Jennifer in New South Wales, swordgrass brown butterfly. It says beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm just taking it in.
Yeah, it's a beautiful photograph, isn't it? It's a really beautiful photograph. So I'm sorry you didn't realize you hadn't seen this. This is a surprise for you too then. I did look up something or other about the butterflies, and I can't quite remember what I read. I looked it up and I've forgotten what I read. I should have read more. Yeah, beautiful. So do you want to make any comments, James, on the photograph?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I was also just taking it and you know, I guess again the similar thing that people pick up on, even as a people's choice, is that depth to a photo. So having something, you know, that your eye is drawn to, the whole thing is nice and in focus, and then something but behind to kind of center it all. And I don't know, there's also a bit of a nice leading line going in, I guess, with the flower that's sitting on. Yeah, it's a really nice photo.
Beautiful.
All right, so there's well done for that, Jennifer. We'll be in touch. So we now onto the second place. So the second place in this year's competition will receive $750, an exclusive discount code for Nissi products, and a certificate. And of course, this is, you know, all of the funding has been made available collectively by all of our sponsors. So over to you to announce our second place winner.
Awesome. So second place was from Craig in Victoria. This image drew us all in. I think all of us shortlisted a few different versions of this particular moment, Craig. So well done. You definitely caught our attention. I think this one was the winner just in terms of the angle you've managed to capture, the detail of the face and the eyes, the antennae, everything, the mandibles there too. And I know we mentioned that it was a really hard kind of moment to capture. So yeah, we were all in agreement. This is an incredible image.
Yeah, and likewise, I mean, it's talking about the technical side of things. It's very well done. This is a focus stacked image, so it's a whole bunch of images put together, which is how you get such a nice depth of field. I would have been even more impressed if you'd identified it to species, because Cheilolictis are nearly impossible to identify to species. But yeah, really nice photo, and great use of your camera and technology. And these photos take a lot of time. Believe me, I know. Each one of mine takes about between an hour and 3 hours from start to finish. So yeah, a lot of work.
When I received details of the winning photographs this week, a couple of days ago, the name Craig, I know that name. Craig's been a winner before. Craig, and we went back through the last couple of years, and Craig actually received a special mention in 2022 for one of his photographs. And it's a photograph, a beautiful photograph of a honeybee on a purple flower called Key to Life. And we've used that photograph quite often through our over the last few years with Ween Bee Foundation, different social tiles and things. So well done, Craig. It's really nice that you've gone from a special mention to actually getting the open second place. So well done.
I'm glad to see a native bee.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right, so drum roll. We now go to the open winner, first place. So this year's winner will receive $1,500 cash, an exclusive discount code for Nissi products, and a certificate recognizing their win. And this is a pretty exciting win. So I'd like to go to the next slide and over to you two to make the announcement.
Sorry,
I'm waiting to see if you want to go first, because
we're both too excited. So our first winner, native bee in a Topicina flower, by Paul Harrop in Queensland.
Who's in the audience, I can see at the moment. It's probably jumping up and down.
Well done, Paul. This one, I think my explanation for this one, it felt otherworldly. It was such an incredible composition. It's, yeah, just the way you've really captured with the flower coming around the bee. It's incredible. The colors and the composition really stood out to me.
yeah, and for me too. It is otherworldly. I didn't necessarily say it at the time, but the word that comes to mind is eldritch horror. Just, I don't know, those the stamens of the flower really kind of look like almost like tentacles reaching out. And then there's this beautiful metallic bee sitting in the middle of it all. But yeah, I mean, this photo really nailed a lot of the technical side of things. Like the lighting is really quite good. And that's especially difficult for metallic bees. I mean, you can kind of even see on this photo that there are some parts that are really bright and some parts that are really dark. It's really, really hard to get good lighting on things that are so shiny. And then that the whole frame is kind of that purple with the stamens reaching out. It really kind of draws you into this other world, right? I mean, I guess from the bees' perspective, this is maybe something more like they usually see, but for us, it's really unusual. So well done, Paul. Really cool photo.
I've just sent Paul a message asking whether he would like to say a few words. He might like to, I can give him the ability to speak if he would like to say a few words. In fact, I'm allowing him to talk. Paul, are you there? Are you in a, oh, hang on. I think I've,
Can you hear me at all?
is that you, Paul?
Yes, yes.
Congratulations. Well done.
Oh, thank you. I'm absolutely thrilled, really honoured.
Well,
Yes,
what I
I'm so
should,
pleased. Thank you.
what I need to also say is, Paul, you were our first prize winner last year as well, with a photograph of a weevil. So, you know, that's an extraordinary achievement. You've had two completely different judging panels. You've had last year, I think it was one of 600 entries. This year was one of 430 entries. And you've taken the top prize 2 years in a row. So you must be doing something right. What's the secret, Paul?
I think the secret with macro photography, like the judges were saying, is to not only have the equipment and the practice, but to get out there and just do it over and over again, and go out on expeditions with groups and friends and just take lots and lots of photographs, improve your skill, and just have a lot to choose from. I think that's the secret. It's like I say to my friends, it's practice, practice, practice. Yeah.
So what was the story behind this winning photograph? Is there any little insights that you can tell us about what was, you know, where was it? Where did you take it? And what was
I took this at the Botanic Gardens, I think in Mount Cootha here in Brisbane. I'm a volunteer guide there, and I do spend a lot of time there. And I'm often in there photographing flowers and the insects and that. And I just really liked the way the bee had coupled into the flower and the colours of the Tipicina flower in the background. I really love the purple and how it contrasted against the colours of the bee. And that's what really attracted me to this image.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you've caught the eye 2 years in a row of two different judging panels. We're thrilled that you know, absolutely thrilled that you've applied both years around, and, you know, keep applying is all I can say. We love your
I'm
photos.
absolutely honoured. Thank you very much. I couldn't believe it that I'd actually done it again. I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
Well, it's clearly not luck. It's talent. Well
You're
done.
on thread.
Well done indeed. All right. Look, I'll stop sharing now. I guess what I would do is just once again thank all of our all of the people who put entries in. Thanks to our sponsors. We couldn't do this without the sponsorship that we get to run this event. And thanks also to our judges. All of our judges have done this out of the goodness of their heart as a volunteer. Just three of the many people that get behind the foundation and the activities and the programs that we put on. I'm really looking forward to being in touch with all the winners over the next few days, and making sure the prizes get to them. So thank you very much, everybody, and congratulations again, Paul. Candice, do you want to close us out with the little video and slide?
I knew it was a good image, but I didn't really expect it to do it again.
We still hear you, Paul.
Yeah, I've got to mute you somehow now.
When Willias grow and basil blooms, it's pollinator week and it's coming to you. Do they have 4 wings or do they have 2 where their eyes are placed? Now that's the real clue. So take a walk, bring a pen when the flowers smell sweet. Who will you meet this pollinator week?
Red rocket in orbit above the city, reading a landscape in the language of UV. An aviator asks, Rita, what is it you see? Eucalypts to eat and lantana to sleep. Pollinator, pollinator, is that a reed bee that I see? Pollinator, pollinator, who will you meet this pollinator week? Suspended midair wearing black and yellow jeans, from aviator goggles up Pollinator, pollinator,
Pollinator.
is that a hoverfly that I see?
Let's see.
Pollinator,
Pollinator.
pollinator, who will you meet? This pollinator wings held up on a petunia, she's perched. Meet Priscilla, queen of the desert, and bells and proboscis like a patty puffer straw. With pollen-studded roots she carries on the tour. Pollinator, pollinator, is that the butterfly that I see?
Pollinator.
Pollinator,
Pollinator.
pollinator,
Pollinator.
who will you meet? This pollinator wing,
Blue.
a glint below from big green eyes. Blue band to you to match the skies. Checking out the pollen of the Dianella, 50 times a second, 'cause she's a head fire. Pollinator, pollinator, is that a blue banded bee that I see?
Pollinator.
Pollinator,
Pollinator.
pollinator,
Pollinator.
who will you meet? This pollinator wing, flying forever over strawberry fields. Prudence spreads pollen, growing the yield. Something in the way it moves so loosely in the sky makes it look like diamonds to kaleidoscopic eyes. Pollinator,
Pollinator.
pollinator,
Pollinator.
hey jewel beetle that I see. Pollinator,
Pollinator.
pollinator,
Pollinator.
who will you meet? This pollinator wing, fast, efficient, slender and sleek. Sarah may look angry, but she's scanning for a treat. Speeding through the sky, knitting pollen as she goes, eliminating aphids, assisting veggie growth. Pollinator, pollinator, is that a paper wasp that I see? Pollinator, pollinator, who will you meet? This pollinator wing. Shh, now it's quiet and Rita's sleeping tight. Nick searching for sweetness amongst the city lights. Perfumed petals gleaming white as snow, tempted by the smell.
Blinded by the glow.